Thank you all for joining me on this little Zoom call. My name is Grace, and me and my friend here, Tiffany, can you wave? We are peer mentors at BYU, and we're here to help you guys make sure that you have an amazing first year and a wonderful experience at BYU. And in order to start that, you have to register for classes, which I know can be kind of a crazy thing if you're doing it on your own or you don't have friends and family that have registered for classes before. So I'm just going to share my screen and we're going to go through a couple things. If you have any questions as we get going, when I share my screen, I probably won't be able to see you, like raise your hand, but you can just unmute yourself, or if you have any questions, put it in the chat box, and then Tiffany will just kind of run that and ask any questions that you guys have. Yeah, so welcome and let's get started. Hopefully you guys can all see this here. So this is a website and it's called Learn Anywhere at BYU. And if you have the chance, you can follow along on your own screen if you want to as we go through some of these things. But yeah, if you go to Learn Anywhere at BYU, then this has an awesome video that's going to kind of go through some of the things that we talk about. So as we know, with COVID-19, there's lots of crazy things going on, but there's been an incredible team at BYU to ensure that your guys' fall semester can be the best that it can be. In order to do that, there's different class options. So you've probably received emails about this and stuff, but when you sign up for classes, which we will go through after we go through this little chart here, there are 4 different class options that you can choose from. And so the first one is a normal classroom experience where you will go to class every day and the buildings and desks will all be modified so that everybody can be 6 feet apart. And it's also required that you wear a mask. And other than that, it's pretty much a normal class experience. And then another option is a blended experience, which you will come in. Let's say you have a Tuesday, Thursday class, the teacher might modify it in a different way, but you may go to class in person on Tuesday, but then Thursday you would watch it remotely. And BYU uses this platform that we're on right now called Zoom. So this is probably how you will have a lot of your classes. And so that's the blended option, part in class with a mask and socially distant, and then part online watching your teacher via Zoom. And then the next option is this live remote delivery, which means it's completely online, but you're watching it in real time. So if your class is at 9 o'clock in the morning, then you will log onto your computer at 9 o'clock in the morning and participate with the class, and as if it was a real class, but on your computer. And the last one is similar, where it's on demand. So your classes would still be online, but it isn't necessarily live. So you wouldn't have a class time like 9 o'clock. It would just be, and it depends on the teacher, but it might be, okay, watch these 3 videos and turn in this assignment by the end of the week, for example. So, and not to be confused, but the live remote delivery is called synchronous, and then the on-demand remote delivery is called asynchronous. So those can have 2 different names there. And so this little chart that you can view on this website at learnanywhere.byu will kind of give you a good layout as to what these different class options are. Does anybody have any questions about that so far?
Is this for individual classes or a whole experience? Do you choose which one for the year or for like per class?
That's a really awesome question, Laurel. It would be for each class. And so you might have 2 classes that you go into the classroom, and you might have 2 classes that are online, or kind of a blended mix. So that was a really good question. Not all classes will be offered in each way. So you will kind of pick and choose depending on what's offered. That's a really awesome question. Any other thoughts before we move on? So you're probably familiar with this page, My BYU. This is where you can find anything you need to. Some of you guys might have questions about paying tuition. You can look over here on My Financial Center, or registering for classes, or your My Map. That's where we're going to head now. But this is a good little spot where you can pretty much find anything you need to in this little section over here on your My BYU page. And so we're going to go to My Map, which is pretty much where you can get all of your academic information. We're going to head to this register tab to show where you register for classes. So make sure you're on the right semester. So this is fall 2020. And you will go here to add a class. And once you click on it, you'll be taken to this page. And so make sure you're on the right semester. This one, you can kind of filter it in order to have like just a first term or a second term class, but just keep it on all. Otherwise it can get a little bit confusing. So I'd assume that a lot of you would need to take American Heritage. That is a very typical class to take your freshman year. I would say American Heritage, Bio 100, Biology 100, and another class that's really common is Writing 150. So I just clicked on Writing, and we're gonna go to 150. That's a very typical class to take your freshman year. So once you go here, drop down menu to Writing, here, drop down menu to 150. Then it'll kind of give you a description of what the class is about and when it's taught, if there's any prerequisites, but you don't need a prerequisite to be in that. And then it'll show you all of the class options that are offered. This class, there's a million different, okay, maybe not a million, but there's a lot of different times to take this class. And right here, this is new, instruction mode. So this will tell you if the class is blended or live remote delivery, which, like we were saying, that was the third column of, if the class is at 8 o'clock, it says, then you would need to be on your computer watching the class at 8 o'clock. And so it looks like a lot of them are blended or live. This one we would go in for the classroom. So yeah, this will kind of give you the option. And then it'll tell you what days of the week it is. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday. It'll tell you where the building is and what time, how many credit hours, and how many people would be in the class. So these classes are 20 people. And so over here, it'll tell you the teacher. So this is kind of the fun part. It's kind of like a puzzle where if you know that you want to take like 5 classes, so let's say Writing 150, American Heritage, Biology, maybe a religion class, and maybe you love to paint and you want to take a painting class. Then this is where you would, find all of your classes. Let's say you go to, let's check out American Heritage. There's just one class in that option, but same thing, we can see, the type of class where it's blended or live, and you can see all the information of what time it is and who's teaching it and everything. So let's say you're looking at this and you think, okay, yeah, I want a blended experience. So maybe some of the days you'll be in person, some of the days you'll be online. And this says that it will be at 11 in the morning on Monday, Wednesday, but then 9 o'clock in the morning on Thursdays. And you say that you think, okay, yeah, that's a good class for me. Then you're going to add it to your cart. And so you just click on this and it'll say, it's not technically being added to your schedule, it's just being added to your cart. So you'll save it to your cart. And then it's reminding you that when you finish filling all of your classes in your cart, then you need to save it and to submit it. So I say, okay, great. So let's say that I want to add a biology class. And I'm just kind of doing this just as an example, but you guys can go in and really research, okay, what times of the day that you want to have classes, on what days of the week, and make sure that they all kind of line up. I added that American Heritage class at, I think it was like at 11 in the morning. And so if I tried to do, let's say this class that's at 11 o'clock in the morning at the same time as my American Heritage class. If I add it to my cart, it won't know that those classes are at the same time. Unless if I go to my cart, which is here, it'll show you all the classes that you've submitted. And I already have classes that I've looked into for me, so it'll be more full than just the classes that I just barely added. But it'll take you to this where it'll show you all the classes that you had just added. If it's loading for me, it looks like it's taking a while. So now I have all these classes in my cart. And probably the coolest feature is if you go down here, it'll show you the layout, the weekly layout of all the classes that you added. But look, it turned red because I signed up for American Heritage and biology at the exact same time. See how it's kind of flipping between biology and then American Heritage, biology, American Heritage right here. And so if it's red, then that obviously means that those classes are at the same time and it won't work with your schedule. But not to worry, you can always add or drop these classes. So if I say, oh, you know what, I don't actually want to take American Heritage at that time, then I can just remove it from my cart and continue. And then let's say that you think, okay, yeah, this is an awesome schedule for me, then you will submit it. And I guess I didn't go over this before, but if you return to your My Map, which is where we were before, I don't have any classes in there yet because technically class registration isn't open yet. So you can't sign up for classes, but you can put them in your cart. And so I think it's right here where it says your registration date. And it totally depends on how many credits you have at BYU. And so those that have a lot of credits at BYU get an earlier registration date than entering freshmen. But not to worry, you usually get into all the classes that you want to, even if your date is a little bit later than some of the other students that have priority just because they've been there longer at BYU. So over here, it'll tell you when your time is. So the reason why the card is awesome is because here it says July 7th at midnight. And I personally wouldn't really want to be staying up at midnight, staring at my screen, worrying about all the classes that I have to take. So this is why we're talking about it now, so that you can have plenty of time and daylight to go through all your classes, work out an awesome schedule. And then once you submit your cart, then, and make sure that you submit your cart at 6 p.m. before this. So I would need to.
Can I add something?
Yes, go ahead, Tiffany.
So in terms of submitting your cart, you can submit it at any point, and then you can add or edit, drop, totally change your cart, and it will automatically save after you've submitted it. So I would say submit it as soon as you think you have somewhat of an idea, but you can change it as much as you want before your registration date.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Thanks, Tiffany. So you can change it however much you want before 6 p.m. the day before this, whatever your date says right here. And then those classes that you already added to your cart will automatically be added to your schedule. Now, let's say a lot of people signed up for that class at the same time. You might be put on a wait list, which is not the end of the world. That is very, very normal to be put on a wait list. And I think the best thing for that is just to wait it out, like it says. And because people, you can, have this schedule here in July, but we don't start school until August, I think. And you can even still change your schedule up until the add drop deadline, which I think is after the first week of school. So you have from, July 15th or whenever you sign up for classes all the way until pretty much September-ish to modify your schedule and make sure it's perfect for you. But doing it now allows you to have a good pick of what you want, and then you can wait out on the wait list if you don't get into any classes, don't get into the classes that you want the first time. And this is kind of just a good way to set it up early. So does anybody have any questions? Yes, Tiffany.
There's some great questions on the chat that I just wanted to address So submitting your cart does not reserve your classes. It just ensures that when your registration date comes, whatever is in your cart, it will try to register you. If the class is full, you can opt for it to automatically put you on a wait list, and it will alert you if the class is full and if you're put on that wait list.
But I hope that gives you a good overview of kind of how to add classes to your cart. It can kind of be overwhelming, so I hope we didn't like add to the stress, but hopefully clarify a couple of things that might seem new to you guys. So if there are any further questions, feel free to email me and I'm happy to reach out. But I think that kind of concludes this session. So thank you. Special thanks to Tiffany for hopping on and helping me answer all of your awesome questions. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And
Grace is the best. You guys are so lucky.
We are all lucky to be a part of this wonderful university. That's what I'll say. So anyway, see you guys. Thanks for tuning in.